Aye, aye. What's really going on? Bitcoin cryptocurrency going to be taking a look at XLM, stellar lumens against US dollar tether. Going to be taking a look at some of the technical aspects of price action moving forward. Going to be assessing some key support levels I believe we're going to be interacting with in the near future here, as we are still coming out of this big rejection off of the higher high around 68 cents, 69 cents kind of thing. We've come all the way down to 36 cents, blasting through this 38-cent resistance, and so now we're going to be assessing if we are going to continue downward, if we're going to find support, if we're going to recover, bounce up. We're going to see what's really going on. Now, to quickly recap this kind of price action from the kind of beginning of November of 2020, we have these obvious kind of breaks upwards, these crazy tens of percentages, over 160% in less than a week, followed by prolonged sideways. So like tens of days of sideways. We got 40 days of sideways. Big gains, big pump, followed by a good more than 20 days of sideways almost. Kind of like, I mean, 20 days of sideways before we found support and rallied upward, but I mean 30 days before we broke that resistance that we interacted with in the beginning of this accumulation. Upon breaking this resistance, bringing us into this most recent kind of accumulation that we just kind of came out of, but we now appear to be re-entering from that swing high to where we kind of found support and broke upward was about 45 days. We've now kind of rallied recently since the beginning of the month. Off of this kind of 38-cent support line, we've rallied all the way up 78%, all the way up to 69 cents roughly, and we've had a rather significant rejection, falling all the way back through previous kind of resistance levels, not really able to solidify them as support. We've come all the way back down to the lows of like 35 cents here, 35, 36 cents, which is still a relative higher low compared to the dips back in the 25th of March of this year and 23rd of February of this year. So this is still a rather bullish higher low, in my opinion. And this rejection at 69 cents is a very bullish higher high. And so with these two kind of bullish signs in play, I do still believe in the long term we are still in an uptrend, but the market still seem to be still recovering from what Bitcoin decides to be doing. And we are kind of re-interacting with what the next kind of support level will be. I believe perhaps if we can't continue to kind of close in this kind of purple zone here, like above pretty much where we are, like 48 cents kind of thing, and like under 51 cents, if we can't continue to close in here, I do believe we can fall out of here and interact with the top of this kind of previous kind of resistance zone that we were trapped in, kind of under 42 cents and sort of above 38 cents. I believe we can kind of come down to the kind of like low 40 cents area before we kind of bottom out and can continue upward. If we were to find support kind of where we are right now, then we could probably most likely bounce to the underside of this next kind of purple zone here, purple kind of resistance zone at 56 cents, come back off of it, retest 52 cents as support, and then kind of rinse repeat as we kind of set higher highs and we interact with this very recent kind of resistance levels under 60 cents, above 56 cents, and under 52 cents and above 48 cents. So those are the kind of the two zones I believe we can be kind of trapped in moving forward if we were to consolidate in a more bullish manner upward toward 69 cents. Although, like I said, if we get rejected and we continue downward, we can interact with the high 40s or the low 40s and the high 30 cents kind of range, in my opinion. When we slap on EngineeringRobo along with the sacred lines of Fibonacci, Fettuccine, Fibba Lamborghini, we have kind of some new kind of perspective here in play. We have these very scary, big, and not ideal sell suggestions. We have the super sell, sell 2, sell 3, sell 4, hell, all the sell signals coming into play as this was a very, very aggressive sell-off. A lot of traders taking profit. Lots happening at this range as we came off of that new higher high. But we still seem to be kind of bouncing along the way. We have a nice bounce at the middle of April there, and we have a nice bounce at the end of April there. And so these dips are being bought up. We are still bullish long term, in my opinion, like I said, but with these sell signals present, I do still believe we can kind of consolidate in a more bearish manner and kind of find support where this Fibonacci line is correlating perfectly with what I was referring to earlier, this kind of 43 cents range here. That 0.618 line correlates perfectly with the top of this kind of previous resistance zone that I was referring to. So if we start closing above that kind of range there, that would be more long-term bullish in my opinion. So I suspect price action could look a little like this, perhaps some wicks down below. But I do suspect we will be able to hold around the kind of 43 cent level there. We might get lows around 40 cents. But like I said, I do think we'll be able to kind of find a bottom here pretty soon. This 0.618 seems to be like the next significant support. If not, I do believe this 0.5 level will be our next significant support if we were to consolidate in a more bearish manner and we were to start seeing some lower lows, and then I would have a more midterm bearish kind of perspective. But at the moment, like I said, I'm still quite long-term bullish, but short-term bearish perhaps. I do believe if we can't find a bounce within the next kind of few hours of this daily candle here, we're going to most likely interact with the kind of low 40 cents area there, around 43 cents, 44 cents, that 0.618 Fibonacci line. If we consider the fear and FOMO zone to kind of help us, assess why this rejection was so significant, we kind of have one of the two options that occurs when prices interact with the FOMO zone. Prices could get into the FOMO zone, FOMO could kick in, tops get bought, and we rally to ridiculous heights. And there's a more aggressive crash, and things are more things take more time to kind of cool off, and things are more sideways for a prolonged period of time. Or we can see kind of what we had here. This is the second kind of rejection we've had off of the FOMO zone. So as soon as prices interact with the FOMO zone, we could get rejected, spat right back out of it, and the momentum of that rejection could take us back down to kind of lower levels. And so that seems to be what's happened for the second time. And so I do believe we should be interacting with the FOMO zone again for a third time over the next kind of coming weeks. But with these sell signals present, and with the kind of current state of cryptocurrency, I do believe we are still going to be very, very short-term sideways, or perhaps very short-term bearish. It's going to be some more pullbacks, some more buying opportunities, as we are currently interacting with resistance, in my opinion. And so there's lots going on, the fear and FOMO zone. There's lots of price volatility in the FOMO zone, but also very, very high sell pressure. So for prices to stay within the FOMO zone for any prolonged period of time, there would have to be some very, very significant fundamental buy pressure holding prices at a very technical overbought level. And so I do believe, like I said, we're going to be interacting with the FOMO zone here in the next kind of few weeks, but I do believe we can kind of still see some pullbacks and kind of come down to this 0.618 Fibonacci level. If we were to consider the price of XLM against the price of Bitcoin, we can kind of see a sort of similar set of sideways here. We're bouncing between these two ridiculous purple ranges. We have a big strong bounce, the 23rd of April there of this year, off of the bottom or top of this kind of purple zone here, back when we found support prior in the middle of March to beginning of April there. We bounced off of this 670 Satoshi level. And so I personally don't suspect we're going to come all the way down there, but I do suspect, based on kind of what I was saying on the USDT chart, that we could very well come down and consolidate in a kind of mild bearish manner before we kind of continue up, if we fail to hold exactly where we are, kind of thing. And so we slap on EngineeringRobo along with these Fibonacci lines. We can see a very nice kind of key ranges, I believe, that prices are going to be interacting with kind of moving forward. And so on the BTC chart, the Stellar's chart against BTC, we don't have the same big and scary sell signals present that we do have on the USDT chart. The USDT chart looks far more bearish than the chart against Bitcoin. As we are well above the 200 moving average. We've come back down, retested it. We have the buy 2 and a buy 4 present as well. It's just behind that buy 2 and a moon in play. And so we are still quite bullish against Bitcoin in the long term. This is what's giving me my kind of long-term bullishness kind of perspective over the kind of course of the next kind of few weeks to months kind of thing for Stellar. But I believe over the next kind of immediate kind of few days to a couple weeks, I do believe we can kind of bounce between this 0.5 and under this 0.382 kind of level here, around 825 Satoshi and under 934. I suspect this to be a key range, perhaps along the 200 moving average. If you come down and retest the 200 daily moving average against Bitcoin more times, I do believe that to be more long-term bullish. But prices could very well fall through, and we would have to kind of reassess, and we could trade in a more sideways manner below the 200 MA for that kind of couple weeks like we did back in March. And so, to recap, still looking quite bullish on the Bitcoin chart. We have, we're retesting a key support zone, and so we still have the buy signals. We're above the 200 moving average, and Stellar is still looking bullish and is still suggested to make gains against Bitcoin in the upcoming kind of few weeks. Speaking of Bitcoin, if we take a look at Bitcoin real quick here against US dollar tether on the Binance chart, we have a new perspective kind of come into play here. If I consider the fear and FOMO zone along with these Fibonacci lines, we can see prices came all the way back down pretty much to this 51, this 0.786 line that I was referring to when prices were back kind of up here around the 55K level. I suspected this 0.786 line to be a really nice pullback target, and we pulled right back to it, and we do seem to be finding support and bouncing quite nicely. And so far, still price action is looking up to be quite similar to this kind of range back here in the kind of end of February, beginning of March kind of thing. And so we see price action kind of rally up, get rejected off of a resistance point, find support, bounce hard, rally sideways-ish for a few days, bounce off of a kind of higher low support levels before continuing to rally upward and retest higher highs. Now, this bounce is not exactly the same, but it is quite similar. I mean, if we were to stretch it, we could say this pattern, if it starts to trade like that, I mean, not really, in my opinion, but we could say this is a inverse head and shoulders, which is a very strong reversal pattern. And so if that were to form something like that, and we were to find support, I believe, above this this kind of dip, and either way, if we find support above this kind of 0.786 line, or even above kind of 50K, I do believe that is a relatively clear sign of a bottom forming, and we could very well rally upward again and look to interact with all-time highs once again, as we've recovered from this pullback kind of quite nicely, and we do seem to be finding support on a higher low previous to other kind of dips and whatnot. We still have resistance around kind of like 55 and 56K is a significant resistance, under 57K there as well. Once prices start closing above 57K on the daily chart, I can be kind of more long-term bullish again. But at this point in time, I am rather short-term, like very short-term bearish in my opinion. I mean, I still would like to see some kind of sideways, some pullbacks. I want to see prices open and close along this 0.786 line some more before heading upward. That would be great for me if I can manipulate price action to benefit me. But anything could happen in crypto. We could very much find support right where we are. And as this was a very strong breakout and retest of a very key level, this could very well be the bottom, and we could easily interact with 57K to all-time highs again over the next kind of few weeks. But lots going on. But thank you for hearing my analysis. Watch out for changes in momentum. Try EngineeringRobo, free, link in the description. Subscribe here on YouTube. Check out all the social media down below, and tune in for the next one.